Have you ever wondered how one man could almost conquer all of Europe? Let's dive into the fascinating world of the Napoleonic Wars. In the twilight of the 18th century, France was a hotbed of political revolution and social upheaval. The French Revolutionary Wars had shaken the foundations of the old regime, and from this turmoil, a new power was rising. A young general by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte was climbing the ranks, demonstrating a remarkable ability to command and inspire his soldiers. Napoleon's rise to power was not just a product of his military genius, but also a result of the political vacuum left by the Revolutionary Wars. The French public, weary of the chaos and instability, were yearning for a strong leader. Napoleon, with his charismatic personality and strategic brilliance, fit the bill perfectly. He seized power in a coup in 1799, marking the start of an era that would forever change the face of Europe. But it was in the battlefields where Napoleon truly made his mark. In the year 1800, he led his forces to a decisive victory over Austria at the Battle of Marengo. This battle was not just a military triumph. It was a statement to the world that France, under Napoleon, was a force to be reckoned with. The victory at Marengo altered the balance of power in Europe, establishing France as the dominant power on the continent. The Battle of Marengo was a testament to Napoleon's innovative tactics and his ability to inspire his troops. His quick movement and relentless attacks left the Austrians reeling. The victory elevated France's status and solidified Napoleon's image as a formidable military leader. Yet, despite France's newfound dominance, not all of Europe was under Napoleon's control. One nation stood strong, refusing to bow to the French onslaught. Across the English Channel, Britain remained a formidable opponent, unscathed by the Napoleonic storm sweeping across the continent. With France becoming the powerhouse of the continent, only Britain remained a formidable opponent. Napoleon's military genius was truly remarkable, as seen in his early victories. Let's delve into some of these battles that truly mark his prowess on the battlefield. The Battle of Ulm in 1805 was a masterclass in strategic maneuvering. Napoleon's Grande Armée enveloped the Austrian forces before they could unite with their Russian allies. He cleverly utilized speed, deception, and superior intelligence, forcing the Austrians into a trap and achieving a victory with minimal French casualties. Then came the Battle of Austerlitz later the same year, often hailed as Napoleon's greatest triumph. Here, Napoleon's strategic brilliance shone. He gave the appearance of weakness, luring the combined Austro-Russian forces into a premature attack. Then, with masterful timing, he struck back. The enemy was split, their lines crumbled, and it was a comprehensive victory for the French. In the following year, at the battles of Jena and Auerstedt, Napoleon showed his ability to coordinate multiple battles simultaneously. He divided his forces, fighting the Prussians on two fronts, and won resounding victories. These battles were testament to Napoleon's utilization of the maneuver warfare strategy, where he sought to shatter the enemy's cohesion rather than annihilating their forces. The Battle of Friedland in 1807 was another display of Napoleon's tactical acumen. Facing a Russian army, Napoleon managed to trap them against the River Alais, leading to a crushing French victory. Here, Napoleon's use of the central position, controlling the battlefield through internal lines, demonstrated his mastery of warfare. These victories weren't just about winning battles, they were a part of Napoleon's grand strategy. He moved his armies rapidly, attacked quickly, and defeated each enemy unit in isolation. This strategy left his enemies disconnected and unable to coordinate their efforts effectively. Napoleon's victories left most of Europe under French control, either directly or through alliances. His military genius, shown in these early victories, reshaped the continent and established France as the dominant power in Europe. Yet, as Napoleon expanded his empire, his enemies were learning from their defeats. The Duke of Wellington, a formidable adversary from across the English Channel, employed an ingenious strategy in the Peninsular War. Instead of engaging Napoleon's forces head-on, Wellington chose a path of strategic retreat. This tactic stretched the French supply lines to their breaking point, weakening Napoleon's army and undermining his swift and aggressive style of warfare. At the same time, in the icy expanses of Russia, Mikhail, Prince Barclay de Tolly, was also making clever use of Napoleon's overreaching ambitions. Much like Wellington, Barclay de Tolly avoided direct confrontation with the French forces. Instead, he adopted a scorched earth policy, destroying anything that could potentially aid the invading French army while retreating further into Russia. The result was a disastrous Russian campaign for Napoleon, with his Grande Armée reduced to a fraction of its original strength due to the harsh Russian winter and lack of supplies. Meanwhile, in the heart of Europe, a new alliance was forming. Austria, Russia, Prussia, and the United Kingdom came together to form the Quadruple Alliance. This alliance marked a significant shift in the balance of power. Now Napoleon was no longer facing disjointed European powers but a united front. The formation of the Quadruple Alliance signaled a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. Their combined strength was brought to bear at the Battle of Leipzig, also known as the Battle of Nations. It was the largest conflict in Europe before the First World War, involving over 500,000 soldiers. The battle ended in a decisive defeat for Napoleon, shattering his once invincible image. This defeat had major implications. Napoleon's allies began to question their loyalties, and his enemies became emboldened. The Quadruple Alliance had proven that together, they could stand against the French Emperor. The Battle of Leipzig marked a turning point, forcing Napoleon to withdraw west of the Rhine River. The tides were indeed turning, and the sun was beginning to set on the Napoleonic Empire. Napoleon's once indomitable empire began to crumble from within and without. As the tides of fortune changed, the year 1814 saw the invasion of France by a coalition of European powers. The Quadruple Alliance, which had formed in response to Napoleon's aggressive expansion, had amassed armies that significantly outnumbered his own. This alliance comprised of Austria, Prussia, Russia, and the United Kingdom, and it was their concerted effort that forced Napoleon to withdraw west of the Rhine River. As the pressure mounted, Napoleon was left with little choice but to abdicate the throne in April of that year. The throne was succeeded by Louis XVIII, and Napoleon was exiled to the Mediterranean island of Elba. However, the flame of ambition in Napoleon was far from extinguished. In a surprising turn of events, he escaped from Elba in February 1815 and returned to France, marking the start of a period known as the 100 Days. Napoleon's return saw him once again at the helm of a new French army. Yet the Quadruple Alliance was quick to react. They declared Napoleon an outlaw and began to mobilize their forces against him. The stage was set for a decisive battle at a place called Waterloo in present-day Belgium. On June 18, 1815, the Battle of Waterloo commenced. Napoleon's aim was to surprise and prevent the two opposing armies led by the Duke of Wellington and Gebhard von Blücher from joining forces. However, his plan failed. The armies united against Napoleon, and his forces were decisively defeated. The battle marked a catastrophic end to Napoleon's rule and his 100 Days return to power. Following his defeat at Waterloo, Napoleon was forced to abdicate the throne for the second time. This time he was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would spend the remainder of his life. His dream of a Napoleonic Europe was over. With his second abdication and exile, the era of the Napoleonic Wars ended,